are to be treated with respect. And the Maya saw this, and they were able to use the numbers. For example, they would look at the Earth and Venus, and they would ask the question, why is it placed here? Why is the relationship such that it is, that we see, that we note? Because we're given a brain and we study and we observe. And they found out that the synodical cycle of Venus is about 584 days as we see it. It's not the real cycle, which is the sidereal, if you look from the top of the Milky Way. It is as we see it. Then they knew that the Earth was 365 days. Then it's an 8 to 5 ratio, which brings you to the 13. And they get 20 from various conjunctions and things upon the Earth, numbers that if any intelligent observer looks, they can get the message embedded there by the intelligence for us.
Okay, so that's like reading the stars and reading the Earth at the same time.
That's correct. That's correct. And reading your own life and not taking people you meet as accident, but treating them with great respect, because random things you don't treat with respect. Things that are appointed, and everything in our life is appointed. It's a sacredness that we sometimes overlook because of our ego, because we don't want to admit that it's intelligent, because we want to be running the show. We want to be figuring it out ourselves when it's trying to communicate us without us figuring it out.
But here's one I ask myself all the time, Raymond. Who taught them? Who taught them?
Who taught the Maya?
Yeah.
I mean, Maya are at the heart of the Americas. Edgar Cayce called these the Red Lands. Mm-hmm. And he said there were 5 sets of Adam and Eve, which is an unusual thing to say. And the Adam and Eve here is the red Adam and Eve of the Americas and of Atlantis. The American and Atlantis are grouped as one. The Maya are at the crossroads there, exactly between the lands of Atlantis anciently and the lands of Lemuria in the Pacific, right at that crossroads where they could be reached. Their land could be reached from the Pacific and the Atlantic, and there was a lot of communication across. And so the Maya are very much their civilization underneath, layered underneath, are those ancient civilizations, and that's why they were so advanced.
They were advanced, all right. I tell you, today in today's science, and I'm going to have a couple of guests on too, and that are probably going to dispute what I'm saying, but I know this because it's their technology, even though it was primal then. Their technology or their understanding, we don't have today.
Correct.
What did we lose? Where did we lose it? And if it did come from somewhere else, how come they took it back?
We lost it when we got into civilization and technology, and with the technology we left the computer. The computer is the natural world. It is not us. The natural world is taking care of us and taking care of itself and making this life possible at all points in time. It is a grand intelligence. And then civilization gets into kings and priests who want control and look to get in between the individual and this intelligence because it's very lucrative in that spot, in between. And they can control. And as a result, we lost our connection. Individuals lose their connection with nature itself, and they begin to rely on experts because of the control systems that come with civilization.
Yeah, that absolutely does sound like the American Indian.
Yeah. American Indian sort of has, I don't know how they did it. They just, the Eurasian people were invited here by them. I said that to an American Indian, and he swallowed and said, you could just hear a pin drop, and he said, that's right. He knew. We were invited here. All things happen to us in this life on many different dimensions at the same time. And one of the other dimensions of conquest is that the people who come and they conquer, They're actually invited there to learn. But because of their laziness and because of their failure to study, they don't do that, and they try to erase what's there that they came to learn.
Wow. All right, so if that, all right, now let me go. I mean, I know I'm throwing a couple of curveballs at you, Ned, but I'm trying to do a 360 on the whole thing. There's
Akashic throwing curveballs at us too.
There you go. Hey, listen, I got the bat ready. Go ahead, throw it over. But the idea here is, okay, now we got the Indians, we got the Mayans, and we got the Atlanteans. Now,
yes.
If you take those three, and the beliefs are the same, if you go all the way back as far as you could possibly take in Chinese history, isn't it the same?
The basic premise is the same.
Yeah.
Basic is eventually to drop your ego and your pride and listen and stop believing things, because belief stops conversation. When you say, I believe this and I believe that, you're no longer listening. You have stopped because you've made a decision. And the earth and the Akashic does not want us to make decision. It wants us to have 360 degrees open for signs that it's sending to us individually to try to communicate with us. And we form groups, and we form elites, and we form cliques. And as a result, we block off our sensitivity to this intelligence